Good morning, ladies. I am back. This is Venus from Heart's Desire by Venus, and I'm working on my design team project for Line Dot Arrow. And I am coming up with a few problems. I've sewn in signatures before, but what happens is, I don't know if this happens to the rest of you, but for me, I get, a few pages all lined up, right? When I'm poking the holes, and then, in the middle sections you open it up and the holes poked out, like right up here in the middle of the page instead of way in the crease that you've created. I've had a bit of a problem with that lately, and it's been frustrating. So I've decided to show you how I have cured that. So right now I'm stitching in, I'm doing a 3 signature journal, and I'm stitching it in onto a piece of linen, aged linen here. And what I've done is I've drawn out my lines for where I want my journal to go. And here's the other thing. I drew my line exactly start to finish so that I can line my pages up on here as well, because sometimes, I line it up and I've missed and one signature is higher than the other. I'm not the most precise person for these things, so this is a problem for me. Some of you might be laughing going, it's not a problem, but for me it is a problem. What I've also done is I've got my handy dandy cheat sheet, I should say. So what I've done is I use this for most of my journals. But on here, what I did for this size is I just drew a little line at the top, a little line at the bottom, and I've got my holes perfectly spaced out on this piece of paper. And then what I did is on my spacing here, because I spaced these out and drew the lines, I just take this again, line it up with the top, line it up with the bottom, open it up, and then I just took a pen through the little dots, and so that I can line that up perfectly. I did that for the 3 of those. So now what I've got, because normally I know a lot of people would just put their signatures in here, use their guide, and it works out perfect. It doesn't work for me. So then what I do is, this is my signature. And this process is slow, yes, but I do get it perfect every time. So now I'm going to take my paper. I've got my ticks at either side. I line this right in the crease. Actually, first I forgot. I have to put down my mat. So I line it up right in the crease, hold the one side, fold it over, poke my holes. Okay, now I do that for each sheet individual so that I don't end up having them poked all willy-nilly out the side of a page or up too high or whatever. So I'm going to go and do that off screen right now, because you don't need to see me poke all these sheets. And then I'll come back and show you what else I've done. Okay, so now I have poked all the holes through, and they're all perfectly lined up, just where I want them. And I'm going to stitch it in. So you're wondering why I drew all these dots, and I drew them with pen. You can do them with pen or marker, because see on the back here now, I can see them. So when I'm stitching in and you're going from the front to the back, sometimes I don't get it lined up right. So now I can get it lined up perfectly. So I'm going to yes, this is the spine here. So now I'm lining it up with my dots. I've got my big piece of string here with my needle, and start in the middle like normal. So here's the middle. I'm just finding the middle hole, and basically the thing is I used to poke it all through, and again at that point, even if I had pre-poked holes, I'd miss. So I'm going to do nice and slow each page. I know it takes a little longer, but you'll get everything perfectly lined up, and I don't know about you, but I'm not so frustrated then. So I'm just going to line this up, each hole in the middle here. Oops. missed that one. There we go. Okay. And now I can see exactly here with my needle sticking out exactly where I need to poke it. So it's going to go right through there. And I'm just going to poke it through to the back. Okay, and pull it through. And remember, we're going to leave that tail. So I'm just leaving my tail there. So now I can just, because I'm doing a pamphlet stitch, I'm going to go to the next dot, which you can see is right here. And then I'm going to repeat the process. So I'm going to go back through all the holes that I've perfectly lined up. Again. And again, I've got it loose here, so you can see it's still loose there. But I'm going to poke through. The next stitch will allow me to tighten it up after that. And it'll be a little bit easier. Oh, my fingers are so dry today. I'm having a hard time flipping the pages. So again, poke my needle through. I'm going to thread each page on my needle here. And like I said, it's only going to be loose here for this first stitch, basically. And then through the middle of the last one. All right. Now I'm going to just pull it out tight. And when I pull it tight, this last one, I hold on to my tail because sometimes I pull too tight and my tail disappears and then you got to do it again. All right, so now I flipped it over and you can see I've got it tight now and I've got my first stitch. And so I'm just going to repeat this up to the top once you find your hole. And now you can see it's actually going to be easier to poke everything on because it's all forcing it to line up. So I'm just going to do this one. And I feel that this little extra piece of time is helping me get this lined up perfectly. But it's also keeping my signature straight. I don't know about anybody else, but a couple times now I've sewn them and they've been kind of crooked. So of course I've threaded it on, going through. Here's my dot, so make sure I'm lined up perfectly through the dot. And pull my thread through again. All right. And I keep pulling the tail to make sure it stays tight and lined up. Which it is, you can see there. So now I'm going to go back through this hole. And because I've already stitched through there and it's all been lined up, it went through perfectly through the back, through the front. All right. Now I'm going to go all the way down to this hole here, which again, because I've got everything lined up, you can poke right through that last hole, line it up through the dot, pull it through the back side. Now you can see I've got a little bit of loosey-goosiness there. And that's just means I need to pull my tail tight again. So there you go, I cinched it right up. So now I'm doing down the last one. And again, I'm going through there because I can see the marker. And because everything's lined up, I'm just lifting here to peek and make sure it's all lined up, but it went perfectly through. Pull it tight again. Make sure you're tight on the back, which I am. Just tug my tail to make sure. Now I'm going to go down through this hole here. I mean, this is just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-hole pamphlet stitch for those of you who already know it. That's nothing new. And I'm just going to go up through the back here again because I've lined everything up. It just slid right through this time instead of struggling to make it straight. And giving everything a tight pull. Make sure it's all lined up here nice and tight. And make sure in the back, sometimes I've done it and there's been a gap. It's all tight there in the back. So now I'm just going to tie it off and clip it. So now you can see it's perfectly lined up. Everything is stitched in there nicely. There is no wonky stitching out the side of your page or anything. It's all perfectly where you want it to be. Thank you for showing up today. I just wanted to show you this tip. If somebody else has done it, I've never seen it before, but for me, this has just been helping me get my signatures in. And look at it, it's all straight and perfect. I'm not a precise person, so any aids that I can get to help me do this really help a lot to make it look a little more professional. If you like this video, please hit that like button. I am creeping up onto 500 subbies. When I get a little closer to, I'm going to announce a draw that I will be doing and all the items that you can receive for these in this draw. Don't forget to subscribe, pass this video on. Hopefully you find this technique good. Don't forget, this is a Line.Arrow design team project. I'll put a link below for the paper that I'm actually using in this kit. As you can see, beautiful images on her paper as always. And thanks for coming out. I will hopefully see you again soon.